Welcome back to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today at Branston Golf and Country Club. Today's video is a second part of a four-part series on how to break 90. Today's video is covering bunker shots and making sure you get out in one shot and one shot only. Stay tuned to find out more. As mentioned, today's video is a second part of a four-part series on how to break 90. So I'm sharing with you four really key but very simple areas that are going to help you lower your score and make sure you break that 90. So today's video is a bunker shot, and what I'm talking about is making sure you get out of the bunker in one shot. So I'm going to go through some real simple keys that you've got to get right to make sure you don't waste shots in the sand here. What we've got to try and do first of all is get the ball out of the bunker. When we can do that successfully, our aim is always to finish on the green. Then we're aiming obviously to try and get the ball closer to the flag, or maybe at a slightly more elite level, even vary the trajectory that we're flying the ball at. But the key point first of all is get the ball out the bunker in one shot, don't waste any more. So I've got around, just over sort of 15 yards or so to that flag. The green starts at about 5, so I've got sort of a good 10 paces or so on the green there, but it just depends on how far I want to fly that ball. What I'm going to talk you through, as I said, is some key parts. And the first part to talk about here is my sternum location in relation to the ball and the contact point in the sand. So we're always trying to aim for 2 inches behind the golf ball. And if you've seen any of my videos on bunker play before, I'll have kept that constant, whether we're talking about plug lies, uphill, downhill, bare sand. We are trying to always hit those 2 inches. There are some golfers out there on the elite level that are good enough to vary much how much sand they hit to vary the flight of the ball. So when they take a little bit more sand, the ball comes out a little bit lower, lands a bit shorter, rolls a bit more. The less sand, it flies higher and stops quicker. But for the majority of golfers, we're aiming for 2 inches, and you know what, we're quite happy with anywhere really between 1 and 5 with the right method. So what I want is the ball position nearing my front foot, about where I would play a driver. So I've got the ball quite far up near my lead foot here, my left leg. The important part is the strike location. So I'm trying to aim for 2 inches behind the golf ball. And what I want to really make sure is I get my sternum, so the buttons on my polo shirt, over that line, over that point in the sand that is 2 inches behind the golf ball. So I'm not trying to get it over the ball. I definitely don't want it way behind the ball and way behind that contact point. I want it over that point that is 2 inches behind the golf ball. So over my contact point there. Now when I get in this setup position, I'm feeling like I'm favoring my lead leg with my pressure. So it's set up that feels more like a 60-65% onto my front lead foot. So that is one setup key point, is our sternum location. Our second point that we've got to try and do to make sure we get that ball out in the sand every time is make sure that we finish the swing here and not down here. So I always want to make sure that my momentum is going forwards and my sternum is going forwards, not going backwards that we see with so many golfers. I don't feel we need to hit this hard, but we need to be committed to make a relatively full finish position. So whatever the backswing length may be, whether it's a half or a fuller backswing, I always want to be trying to make a good full finish position. And that means that I'm finishing with even more pressure onto my lead leg. So I started, you'll remember, at this start position here, favouring my lead leg around 65%. But once I've struck that ball and followed through, I'm really feeling more like 80% onto my front foot. Bad bunker players are generally going backwards, and they're the ones where they're striking too far back in the sand. They're either not getting enough energy to get the ball out, or if it's relatively firm sand, sometimes when they strike so far back, the club has actually exited the sand on the way through and they thin it, generally blaming it on there not being enough sand in the bunker. So what I want to try and make sure, 2 key points. One is that my sternum location is 2 inches behind the golf ball at my contact point here. You'll have seen the ball was already forwards in my stance. And my other key part is that I'm making sure I commit to a nice full finish position. That momentum will mean the club slides underneath the sand and the ball comes out. The club is traveling a lot quicker than the golf ball. Most of the energy is lost in the sand. So the club is actually striking the sand a good 40, 50 miles an hour, yet the ball is only traveling 5 or 10. So most of the energy is lost here in the sand. For me, that doesn't mean I have to hit it hard. I've just got to commit to making a full finish position where I finish with that pressure onto my lead leg. So let's see if I can do those two things. So I'm going to draw those couple of lines. I've got the ball forwards in my stance like a driver ball position. I'm aiming for 2 inches behind the golf ball, and that's where my sternum is located. So I'm feeling a little bit more pressure onto my front foot, and what I'm going to try and concentrate on is that I finish with even more pressure onto my front foot. So let's give it a whirl. That's pretty good, just right to the flag there, but it was around the right distance, flew nicely. Was the strike perfect? No. I was aiming for 2 inches. I probably hit 3 to 4 inches, but with a nice committed finish position here where I'm getting more pressure to my lead leg, the ball came out absolutely fine. Let me do one more of those. So I'll play it from a similar spot. So 2 inches is my contact point. My ball is forwards in my stance like a driver. My sternum is over that contact point in the sand, and I'm aiming to try and make a nice committed finish position where I finish with more pressure onto my lead foot. That one's even better. Go on. Very close. I've got that up there around to about a foot, but again you will see I'm facing the target, my arms are up at shoulder height, I'm finishing with the pressure onto my lead leg. Don't waste shots leaving the ball in the bunker. Let's make sure we get it out first of all. Once we can do that consistently and get that strike point there or thereabouts, we can start to then get a little bit pickier with where we're actually flying the ball to. The key parts there are my sternum is that over that contact point, 2 inches behind the golf ball, and I'm making sure I commit to a full finish position, finishing with more onto my lead leg. I know if you can do those two things, you're going to hit better bunker shots and break 90. If you did enjoy the content video, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel as well, and make sure you check out the other 3 parts to this Break 90 series. Thanks guys, we'll see you soon.